As I'm sure you've already noticed, when I sketch an entity, numbers appear next to the cursor as I sketch. These numbers represent the entity's dimensions. To illustrate, I'll sketch a quick circle. The numbers displayed indicate the diameter of the circle, in this case, in inches. Now it's important to note that these numbers are simply used to approximate the size of the geometry you're creating. As you can see, the entity can still be resized by dragging one of its points, so you only need to get close to the desired size when initially sketching geometry. To precisely define and lock the entity size, you need to use dimensions. The most effective command you can use to do this is Smart Dimension, located here on the Sketch Command Manager. I could also activate the command from Tools, Dimensions, Smart, from the S key menu, or using mouse gestures. The great thing about Smart Dimension is that it automatically knows what type of geometry you're trying to dimension, so there's practically no need to use any of the specific dimensioning tools. For example, when I click on this circle, Smart Dimension knows I'm trying to add a diameter dimension. It also allows me to pick how the dimension displays. I can attach it using extension lines or using an arrow leader. Note that right-clicking with either type previewed locks in that type, regardless of how I position my cursor. I'll go ahead and cancel the command by pressing Escape once, and then dimension this angle. Note how Smart Dimension knows to attach an angle dimension in this instance. This time, I'll click to attach the dimension, and a dialog appears where I can define the dimension name and size. Typically, I leave the default name for my sketch dimensions, but assigning a unique name can help later on down the road if you need to reference the dimension. You'll learn more about the way sketch dimensions can be referenced and utilized throughout this course. For this example, I'll go ahead and name the dimension and then type in the desired size. I could also use the thumb wheel or arrows to enter the size if I wanted. When I'm ready, I'll click OK to complete the dimension. Now if I need to edit the dimension, I can simply double-click it with or without Smart Dimension active. This time, I'll type in the value and press Enter to complete the command. You can delete a dimension just like any other sketch entity, using either the Delete key or selecting Delete from the right-click menu. I'll go ahead and show you a few more examples before moving on to the next lesson. Here, I can click on the rectangle's side, type in a dimension, and press Enter to create it. I can also select the points at either end of the side to dimension the segment. If I make a selection by accident, pressing Escape will undo my last selection. When dimensioning an angled line, moving my cursor allows me to dimension the true length, the horizontal length, or the vertical length. Again, right-clicking while previewing a dimension type locks in that type. I can also enable an option allowing me to enter dimensions on the fly, without having to enter a value in the dialog. Go to Options, Sketch, and check Enable on-screen numeric input upon entity creation. I'm also going to check Create dimension only when value is entered. Now when I sketch a new line, I can type the desired dimension length before clicking a second time to finish the line and the entity is created. And because I selected the secondary option, inserting a new line does not automatically prompt me to add a dimension. Lastly, note that you can change the attachment points of dimensions. This can be especially helpful when dimensioning arcs or circles. When I dimension the distance between the circle and this point, you can see that the dimension attaches to the circle's center point by default. If I want to change this, I can simply drag the extension line to snap it to one of the circle's quadrants. In the next lesson, I'll show you how to add dimensions to geometry as you sketch it.